Welcome to the Inspired Evolution, and it is such a treat to be here today. Today we have the vibes from someone very special, someone very sweet and very tasty. It's Pana Barbounis. Pana, how are you?
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you for holding the space and being here and allowing me to talk. Always.
Yep. So now you're putting things in people's ears instead of people's mouths. So it's it's really a pleasure to have you here. For those tuning into Pana for the first time, Pana founded Pana Organic. It's in Melbourne, Australia. He set it out with the intention of creating rich, luxurious chocolate, basically go all around the world that people could enjoy. But it started quite humbly. I think the story goes, Pana was on his scooter delivering one bar at a time around Melbourne, and now, literally, the vision is being made manifest. The chocolates are literally all over the world, and I think a big moment where I had a little drop in, which was like, I really got to get in touch with Pana and have this conversation. Is I was on a flight back to Australia, and in my flight they served Pana Chocolate, and I was like, oh my god, yes! And I think that me was a really inspiring place to start the conversation, and I'll just start with that. Is, we see this chocolate thing definitely that's going on, but when I was in the airplane, there's airplane food is not the healthiest, most, let's word conscious into the equation, conscious thing. And here I am, introduced to a Pana bar on a plane. And for those listening into, Pana's chocolate is completely vegan, dairy free. It's not nothing's heated above 42 degrees, so it's nice and raw. Tell us more about the intention behind what you're doing.
Oh, the intention. It's quite simple. I mean, to be simple, I started it to fill up some time. I started the chocolate as a place to muck around because I had a kitchen. I just wanted to work in it. But it obviously goes a lot deeper than that. It stems from a childhood, where I had a beautiful, absolutely amazing relationship with food. Mum and dad, migrants, they came across here to make a better life for themselves, and their offering was food. So I had a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous relationship with food, and I'm still to this day never have a bad meal from mum. I love that tasty, the care, it's never. It's always a feast, and it's just so it's always continued from that. And Dad always grew veggies at home, backyard, so I always had my hands in the ground, and always sort of feeling that I needed to be there and nurse the plants and watch them grow and really harvest their own food. So it started from that, I think. And but then you fall into this trap in your 20s, and really there's a lot of programming that I had to undo, and it wasn't until the early 30s where I said to myself, I really want to do and put together all my learnings and change how I've been doing things, really. And I always had a passion for slow food. I wasn't a vegan necessarily right at the beginning of Pana when I started thinking about the idea, but I was really into my slow food. So it was all about slow cooking your meals for a couple of hours in a wood-fired oven and really getting all those beautiful flavors and that intensity coming out. It's just like, is it a European coming out of me? The hands are moving everywhere.
Yeah, but all the nutrients that come out. Yeah, no, absolutely.
So and then, I sort of had my first 10 or 12 years in hospitality, and I'd come out of that, and even though I'd been successful potentially in some people's eyes from a financial, I felt unfulfilled in a lot of ways, and felt like I was just doing things for the sake of it, not really understanding why I was doing it. So I really took a bit of a sabbatical, and in a couple of years where I just stood back and assessed myself, and I was involved in some commercial cookery schools at the time, and I had a kitchen, and I thought, I got to do something. I really love the old trades, the artisanal way of life, and I watched the movie Chocolate and got a bit of inspiration to do that. And, I came across another raw chocolate, and I thought, wow, I can really make something out of this. It really just felt right. And the short story is, I jumped on a plane, went to London for a couple of days, went to Belgium and worked with some traditional chocolate makers, and then just came back and locked myself away for about 6 months, playing around with different recipes. And at that point, I really had started understanding essential oils as well. So I really had a good connection with essential oils and that sort of therapeutic benefit from them. And, I started making chocolate and putting it in these little brown boxes, which I call market boxes. And I was driving a Vespa because I was conscious of the environment and the impact that we have. And I'd go around to some of the stores, and South Melbourne Passion Foods, for example, was one of the first stores. I said, yeah, I'll give it a go. And, we put the boxes in. I said, minimum 100 grams. That's all I put on there. I said, I don't know, make me an offer. I don't know what it's worth at that stage. And we put them in there, and the response was growing. And it was, people were connecting with them. Obviously I was, making them out of ice cream molds, cake molds, any tins that I had, I was making the chocolate in there, freezing it, setting it, and then selling it. And then at one point, because the texture is different, I thought, I kept on working, and I just got to launch it. The response was so good. And, cut a long story short, I think I got to about 22 customers where I had created the Pana Chocolate box. 22 customers where I'd make the product, wrap the product, deliver the product, and manage it. I couldn't do any more. It was just like taking up all my time. So, and then I went to a state distribution, and then July was 22 customers, and I went fully state, and then by September I'd gone national. And I thought there was a gap in the market. I thought there was from the entrepreneur side, I think there's really an opportunity there. Very cliche, but the rest is history. But still a lot of learnings during those processes, and but it's been like an absolute dream journey. You talk about you were on Virgin, and Virgin, like that, really coming on board and supplying. And we do criticise airline food quite often, but when you sort of start working closer with some of these big players, I was fortunate enough to go with to Luke Mangan, who writes the Virgin menu. And you've got a test kitchen. Now, still, even though we might think the food is really bland, so much still effort and time goes into that, and to try to make it what it is. And they even test wine. Sommelier was there, and they were talking about flying from Sydney to Perth just to test what a 4-hour, 5-hour flight would do to the wine. So it's not like that after this, but it gets challenging for them. But we're grateful for all our partners that have come on board, and Virgin's being one of them. We've got the major retailers in Australia, but where we started off with about 3,500 mum and dad operations, little independents, and they were really the big assets. And it's not only the team that are behind the product. I created the product, I put my name on it, but that's as far as it goes. The success has been from the team. It's been from the retailers that have supported us and spread the word around. They're the ones that have made it possible to where we are today. And even in overseas, and been fortunate enough to have some good celebrities follow us as well and try the product and connect with it. But it is about the experience, and that's what we try to create with Pana. So it's critical about the touch points, and it's that whole life journey of how I've grown up with that love for food, that experience, that connection, and that's what I wanted to continue with Pana.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing.
I can breathe now.
I'm here. There's a couple of things in there that I really want to touch on. The first thing I want to go to is intention that you refer to. You've got each individual block is hand wrapped, and then when you open it up, the texture of your chocolate is so unique, and so you've kind of like that intention and that care. I know that a part of it is also bringing organic food, because it's like the intention is to keep it organic, make sure it's vegan, make sure it's gluten-free, so it's accessible to everybody. But it's also like, even though chocolate is something dirty, you've made it the cleanest, dirty, but like sugar is normally like quite unhealthy for you, but you've like used raw cacao. It's really healthy. Like the intention behind that, are you trying to bring more and more people to organic food awareness, or like what's going on back there?
Absolutely. To me, the philosophy behind that as well is like, it's simple. If I don't need it, I don't want to serve it. So for me, it's serve, and it is the whole experience. There's enough products out there that humans never touch them from start to finish. I just didn't want another. I wanted that. I wanted that experience. I wanted those touch points. From the moment you touch the cardboard, I wanted to be able to feel that, hey, this feels quite organic. So the texture of the box was very important. And then when you initially we had flaps because we couldn't actually seal it. We couldn't afford a machine. But now we have a machine that actually seals the box. But when you open it, even that seal is edible gum, by the way. But for us, when you pull it out, I wanted it to feel like, hey, a robot hasn't put this together, a machine hasn't put this together. There's actually been some care and love that people have wrapped the product, and you can see it. There's no two bars that are exactly the same. And I said, I wanted that feeling. I wanted that experience. It's very important for me. It's all about the feeling and the experience. And you continue that whole, then hopefully, when you open it, there's a hidden message, and we alternate between our chocolate bars, love your insides or love the earth. And then from that, hopefully you finish with a pleasant experience of, the chocolate melting in the mouth. And immediately you get all this explosion of flavors. So it was really sort of, every step was sort of considered to be.
Yeah, I really love that. It's like the humanness, you're bringing that back, and it's almost, excuse the pun, but wonder if that really is the recipe for your success. There's before, when you were sharing, I want to dive into, you said there was kind of like a trap in your 20s. Can we talk a little bit about that? Like, what was it that you were referring to in terms of, you finding, yeah.
Get married, have kids, buy a house, don't live your life, save every penny. It's getting any simpler than that. Don't be happy on holidays.
That is the quickest I've had it put together ever. I think the only thing you were missing was the white picket fence. I think the only thing you were missing was the white picket fence.
Right.
So what prompted, like you said, you went away on a sabbatical for a couple of years. What was the prompt for you to like walk out or start questioning the trap? Most people are quite in the trap, and they keep doing that.
We were, almost, and at the end of the day, we've got to take responsibility ourselves. But with all the programming, it's that money isn't everything, and money is, people say, yeah, it can bring some happiness, but it doesn't make happiness, right? You still got to create it. Yes, I love the hospitality industry, and yes, I was in it because I was naturally gravitated to it, and there was something that was always drawing me to it, but potentially not doing it for the right reasons. When I was in the cafe scene, in the restaurant scene, first the intention was to get in there and fulfill my own want to be self-employed, because I've been 20 years old. I went out on my own. I always knew I wanted to be self-employed, but it got to a point where then the initial intention of going in there and running a business for me flipped. It almost felt like I was there to prove to others that I could make it. Mm. So I was spiral of wanting to make money, a bit of greed, a bit of everything. And I had to undo all of that. Well, okay, I want to do something that's for me. I want to run it and operate in a way that I can be friends with everyone. I can be on this awesome journey. I can keep, and retain staff for the whole duration, or work with the same suppliers. Like we've still got some of our initial suppliers when we started 6-7 years ago with the chocolate, when it comes to the packaging and some of the ingredients. Yeah, we've had to move on with others, but majority we tried to keep this amazing journey, and those who support us is to continue it. It's not about penny pinching and looking at, yes, we have to be efficient. Yes, we have to look at, some of our measures, but it just really just undoing all that that first initial wave of self-employment and how business should be, some people perceive it as it should be done, to where how I wanted to operate and how I felt fulfilled from operating that way. You still make mistakes, even though you take those learnings. You still make mistakes in these in the current environment, but you're always learning, right?
Absolutely. And you mentioned also another thing, like, everything that you're going through has been, obviously your name is on the top of it. You keep referring to the team is a big part of it and the co-creation of everything going on. I'm really inspired by that, because every year you go out and plant at least 10,000 trees as well. So like there's really a massive community aspect to Pana. And once again, like the planting of the trees, I think one thing that is really knowing, like having a similar like social circle where my friends know your friends. It's a lot of organizations, if we may put it that way. I don't want to use the word greenwash, but like there is the idea of like there's a public branding thing. Like if we plant some trees, it'll look good for the organization. Whereas those that really know yourself and the work that you're doing, it's like no, it's not a like it's just you give back, because we're getting so much from nature. The cacao comes from nature, the elements come from nature, and just really bringing that people back to nature. And like the planting of the trees is just an added extension to that. Can you speak to that a little bit and tell us what's going on in and around that and your intentions?
The first couple of years, we didn't even mention it externally. I mean, the tree planting came along. It was interesting because I always loved, my love birds, love bees. So it's got this connection. Obviously down that sort of vegan space, I got to admit, I did grow up having birds, and so I love birds all my life, and nursed them, and I bred them at some stage. But understanding where we are today, I don't do that obviously anymore. But it's always had that connection, and and it came to my after sort of realizing more and more about nature and life and the love of Mother Earth. Is that it was coming to my 40th, and I said, I really don't want anything else. I've got enough of everything. Those close to me that wanted to offer something, just please, here's a contact. Let's just buy some trees. And I think for my 40th, we got to about 1,300 trees. I had about 20 closest friends. Mum and Dad were there, and we just planted, and it was the best day ever. We were just at it in Hillsville, King Lake down there, and we just planted the trees. And Mum was just heading the team, planting trees. She felt like she's been reborn. And I thought, wow, this is huge. And so at that stage, I already started Pana as well. And I thought, I've got to do more with this. And for the first couple of years, we planted trees. We put money up to plant trees through Pana. We just didn't advertise it. It wasn't until one of my mentors said, you really, you should use this to your advantage and really what you're about. And a bit of reluctancy, and that's when we let everyone know that, we do plant trees, and our intention is to plant, more than the previous year. And I think we're up to about 60,000 trees now that we've planted as a business. And we want to continue that journey. And it is our way of giving back. We try to lead the way with what we utilise as a sustainable, whether it's our packaging and all that, and we're always improving, and there's areas still to improve. But what we know, and what I know, and what I feel is that planting trees is like this beautiful, beautiful gift that just keeps on giving. Because you go from one year to another, and they go from waist height to shoulder height, and it's absolutely beautiful. And when you're building all these habitats for wildlife. It's absolutely, that's inspiring in itself, and it's just it's a beautiful connection. So it's something that I want to definitely connect, and even if the business has some lean years, I'll personally fund it because it's really important to me.
I love the integrity behind all of that. And so the question that I have then is, I'm sure many stages along the journey, it would have been easier not to have edible gum as glue for the packaging. It'd be easier to not have people hand wrap the chocolates. It'd be easier to not have to go out and plant all these trees. So what is the real, inside, why is this pushing you forward?
It feels right. It's natural. We will always look at improvements, and if I can find a better solution, even for the wrapping, and if I feel that it can go to the next level for the environment, I will consider that. But if from my perspective, it's just part of the journey. It's the way it started. It's the integrity behind the business. It's the feeling. It's just the continuation. And if it works, people connecting with it, I don't necessarily just want to change it either. So it's just a combination of things. I think I've answered your question.
Yeah, you have. It's I think the premise of the question was one, the easy path. When there's so many people that have walked in front of you doing easy packaging, easy getting that, it'd be so much easier to create business and send out these chocolate bars all over the world, as opposed to individually hand wrapping, taking the time to pull teams of people together to plant trees and go through all this work. Why avoid the easy path to what feels good, kind of what you said?
I mean, in a nutshell, you'd be the same as the others. You'd be doing no different. You'd be having no difference, really. It really was the whole intention, but also the whole experience that we wanted to continue that.
And is there a social responsibility that you kind of speak to in and around that then?
The trees is what our biggest social responsibility. We are looking at, some of the items that we're looking at. We would buy our cacao from Peru. we're looking at more local social responsibilities there. So I'm hoping to get out there this year and meet some of the growers, but more importantly, meet some of the local communities and really back directly. We're at a point as a business where it's a little bit larger, so we can actually have more of an impact going directly.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So tell me more along your journey. What would be the advice? Like, is there anything you wish you knew years ago that you kind of know now? Is there advice that Pana would give his 10-year former self?
Yeah, lots of advice. There's always lots of learnings. Yeah, I didn't come from an experienced FMCG background. I come from beautiful parents, but very humble parents. So backing myself, I think where we are currently, we're in a city, which is not probably the wisest business move, but we've got 3 locations because I never backed myself that it could get this big. So just keep on, taking on the next warehouse. Not the most economical. And then when we talk about where we can improve, they're the areas that we're going to make some changes and improve. Maybe more regional or more suburban, so we can have a larger warehouse and not pay huge rents and all the rest of it. But that's lovely. The other big one advice that I always say to people is the intention was always to really take not only myself and some of the suppliers, but some of the team on a journey and try to retain them throughout the whole journey. That's great as an intention, but sometimes it can be challenging. It can be challenging because the skill set people, and even myself, we all reach a ceiling. And putting people in positions that not necessarily qualified or have the expertise can actually increase your own workload and become a little bit frustrating. And there's some of the learnings, that I can take. CFO, bring on a CFO a lot earlier in the business. Again, promoting people into the bookkeeping accounts role. But, when you sort of hit this critical mass, larger volume, brings an expert internally, really make sure your numbers and your percentages stack up is another one. And even though I've advised this, I haven't got all those areas right yet. So.
The journey continues. No, I really appreciate that. I appreciate the insight. Really valuable. And so what inspires you the most at the moment, just to continue to fuel the fans behind the Pana Chocolate wave, or what keeps you up and running and inspired to continue to grow this?
Yeah, it is. What keeps me up? It's massive. For starters, my kids keep me inspired every day. But, from a perspective, just the opportunities that are still there. We've recently moved from Pana Chocolate to Pana Organic, and that was because of the journey. And we, even meeting Zach, the founder of Zebra Ice Cream, who's, I met him on, I don't know if you've ever met Zach. He's just an amazing individual. He's got the aqua green hair, and he had this massive hat on, and he was on an ice cream cart, and he was selling the ice cream. And from, I think we're at the Sea Shepherd Festival, and he was selling the ice cream, I was selling the chocolate. We connected, and since then he's come aboard and joined the Pana, and we've brought the ice cream on board. So from my perspective, it's like what Pana Organic can now do. So now we've got the chocolate, we've got the ice cream, we've got ganache. We want to launch a couple of other products. We've had during our journey, we've had like the retail stores. So we've got some cakes that we want to potentially launch. We want to do all these things that we've dabbled in. Now we've got the distribution network, commercializing it. Commercializing our ethos. Down that gluten-free, organic. I won't touch anything that's not vegan. So continuing that journey. So that's what excites me actually. And I said this to one of my employees yesterday. I said, as long as the business doesn't become too corporate, I'm still here at the helm. But I can't run it. But yeah, so it's finding that balance.
I absolutely love that. And again and again, just the one thing I'm in complete awe of is, now that it is ice cream and like you said, cakes, it's like, it's the foods that would probably be the most challenging. It's the foods that, the glutton in you generally gravitates towards to get the unhealthiest version, and you're taking time to clean up all the ingredients or find the naturally clean ingredients behind that, and enlighten people that, food that is really good, like that is really good tasting, can actually be, like from a good source and good food, not packed full of like refined sugar and stuff like
that. Yeah, absolutely. And what we're finding out in the marketplace is like, I think the majority of the businesses set out with the right intention. And then it gets to, and those who are self-employed will probably relate to this. You hit these lines and, and you start looking at it, your overhead starts to grow and everything else. And you start to look at where you can cut costs. And where you've gone and you've made a product in your own kitchen and you've started with it, you've shifted it to a lab. So then you're asking the lab, how can I make this cheaper? Hey, easy. Put 300 ingredients in there with 400 and it tastes the same, right? It's like we're not going to go down that path. We're going to keep it 4 or 5, 6 ingredients, and let the ingredients be the heroes and not compete with each other. Because sometimes, even with the chocolate, when I first started, you got, you had ingredients competing, to be the hero, where you need some harmony between the ingredients. So for us, it's like, and that's done. And with the marketplace at the moment, it feels like people understand organics and understanding them more and more, and they're gravitating to it. And whether it's social media's had that influence, or especially it's had an influence down the vegan path, but it's that they're actually willing to pay that little bit more. Because, pay the farmer a little bit more, pay now, hopefully pay the farmer is less later. So it's one way or the other it gets you, right? So I really feel that, we're in this era and this time where, the consumer is really more conscious of what they're ingesting. So paying that little bit more for it, I think, they're comfortable with them.
So tell me a little bit more about that, because that was going to be my very next question, is like, I think the market is becoming more conscious in its consumption, but I know some part of what you're doing would have been not just in response to conscious consumption, but also trying to promote conscious consumption.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you see it all the time. And you go down any supermarket aisle now, and people are, lifting up a nutritional panel and reading it. It really are. There are awakening of what they're ingesting, and I think where everyone in the past with what we were being told and marketed to, I think there's a real big element now. Okay, let's just challenge this. Let's just have a look into this a little bit deeper, and we're finding that. And and you look at the movement. There is health and organic stores. I think 15 years ago there wasn't many around. 10 years ago started popping up. In the last 5 years, they're in every street. And you look at the 2 biggest retailers in Australia, and you look at their. Sorry about that.
You're back.
You look at of health. It's just very, very growing, and there's an awareness, there's an awakening, and people are gravitating to it. So, and we're grateful to be part of it.
I think that's really amazing. And my question is then, you must find that really rewarding, because I oftentimes think about sorry?
Makes it easier.
Makes it easier.
Hopefully we're part of it, even if we're not, marketing and the business growth easier, because there's a bigger shift from the market, whereas, maybe 2 or 3% of the population were shopping in health and organic stores. Well, now, it could be 5 or 6%. It's just growing.
Yeah, and I think that's fascinating. I often ask myself this question as to whether there are more organic stores now, or whether I'm just more aware of it. But more and more, I feel like, no, they're actually, like, the stats are in. Like, there are more people switching into this. If I go to a normal, just a normal restaurant, they'll have, not that, chicken is ideal, but they'll make an attempt, like, it'll be free range or organically sourced meat. And, they're actually trying to, make the effort. That must be consumer driven, as well as, creators such as yourself at some point trying to educate people, as well as, then that being the feedback mechanism is really awesome.
And one further, I mean, most cafes and restaurants now will have a vegan option on the menu, whereas before, I mean, when I went vegan, I think 7 years ago, it was, at a cafe, and it was sides of spinach, sides of mushroom, and avocado.
Bowl of chips, thanks. What did you fry that in? Yeah, no, it's definitely promising. It's definitely promising. So, in terms of all of this, now with ice cream coming on board, chocolate coming on board, let's say, obviously you are expanding where you're at, and it's just a natural organic process, obviously organic. But a question that I've got is, if someone is on the start of their journey in terms of like really finding the courage to back themselves, you mentioned on like something that they want to invest in, any tips for someone at the start of their journey?
Yeah, I mean, stay true to yourself. I mean, when you enter the space, and I remember, they had so many people that had already done it in certain ways give you the advice, and you think, okay, everyone's done it that way. Stick to your own path. Take the advice, but really just believe in yourself and believe in your own intuition of what you're creating and your intention, putting that out there. I think that's really powerful. And backing yourself, and a bit of diligence on who you're going to partner up with. If it's any distributors, I mean, that's always a great key. And then the costings, it's so important to get your costings right from the beginning. Quite often, I had a previous business where I had some major clients, and this really helped with Pana. Was you dealt with Melbourne Air, there were some of the big airports and some big food chains. It's getting your costings right, because it's not only you start making something out of your own kitchen, ensuring that you cost the ingredients incorrectly, but then also that you cost in your labour, and then you cost some, because at some point you can't do everything yourself, and you really you'll need to bring on team members, and making sure that your costings reflect that and you've allowed for that, because then you find yourself a year later, I've made so many products or units, and I'm really not left with much money. It's because when you start to upscale and increase your volume, that's when not having the right price structure in from the beginning can bring you undone and motivate you, really, because it's not like you're necessarily driven by money, but if you can't just get your basic necessities out of it from a financial perspective,
it becomes stressful.
It can, and it adds that next layer of pressure, and that initial intention and that joy that you went in with it starts to become undone.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Is there a message that you're just like, if we had the opportunity just to share, is there something you wish to share with the audience?
I mean, it's just appreciation. It's gratefulness. Thanks for all your listeners that have been part of the Pana journey. Forever grateful for all the people that I've met, and all those who have shared the love that I've shared into the product and continue to share. So for me, it's an awesome journey, and thank you. And it's, again, we finally get to actually chat, and again, another beautiful soul that I get to connect with. So grateful for that as well. So
thank you so much for your time and energy and sharing with you today, and your passions and all the yumminess that comes with that, and also gratitude for like all the moments along the journey. Like to see you sharing all this with us now, but obviously like all the moments that you had to show up on the make it happen, and wishing you all the best for what's coming forward. For those that want to tune in, Pana has a beautiful website at pana-organic.com, and that's probably the best way to get in touch to the digital side of it. And obviously get yourself a chocolate bar. They are, I'm like, I'll put it to you this way. I don't want to go try the ice cream, because I know once I do, I'm going to be stuffed. And for those listening in, my personal favorite is Rose Pana Chocolate. What's your favorite?
How do you separate your kids, right? Morning. Let's leave it at that.
Awesome. I've got one last question, Pana, and by no means it's my least question. It's kind of esoteric in its nature, beyond the chocolate, beyond the name, beyond everything that people see. Who is Pana?
Who is Pana? A person that's absolutely in awe of his kids, loves spending every moment he has with them, and I'm just grateful. Again, I say grateful, but I'm grateful for the people around me. Family is important to me. So to me, spending time and cooking for the family is who Pana is. What does Pana want to do? He never wants to retire, but he just wants to grow his own, veggies, make preserves, and just, have lots of people around and, share great stories around fires.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing your story around this fire today, brother. Such a pleasure to have you on. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Love of the Inspired Evolution and sharing the Love of the Inspired Evolution. If you feel like this content has supported you or may support anyone else that you know may resonate with the content of it, please share away and share the love around. Thank you guys so much. And to stay up to date on whatever's coming out with the Inspired Evolution, please subscribe. There's all these links in the bio for you to tune into the episodes and all these different platforms, just so the message can get to you and your loved ones. Thank you so much for all your love and support. Stay inspired to evolve.